Today we take a look back at one of the themes for 2021, and one of those themes, unfortunately, was the surge in crime. Reporter Sonia Goins picks up that story.
In 2021, the criminals were bold, firing guns in broad daylight and in heavily populated areas in Brooklyn Park. The city saw a record number of shot fires call for the year.
We've never seen the amount of lawlessness that we're seeing.
Random crime spilled into all suburbs. Youth baseball coach Jay Boughton was fatally shot July 6th on Highway 169 as he and his son drove home from a baseball game. It took investigators months to make an arrest.
This was truly a needle in a haystack that our detectives, the public, primarily our detectives, they never stopped digging and working and knocking on doors and reviewing video after video after video.
Violent crimes have remained relatively low in Maple Grove, but the city did experience some unusual incidents. There was a shooting at a gas station, a carjacking incident, and a shooting at a hotel. Police say they've seen an uptick in weapons-related crimes.
We've seen an increase in our weapons carrying complaints throughout the city. We've had 43 so far this year, where we only saw 29 in 2020.
This amount of violent crime, what happened and the nature of it, was troubling to police chiefs. We sat down with 3 leaders from Crystal, New Hope, and Robbinsdale to talk about the disturbing trend.
I have never seen the amount of violent crime we've seen in the last 2 years.
Chief Stephanie Reverend, who is also head of the Hennepin County Police Chiefs Association, says since 2019, violent crime has gone up almost 30% in her city.
We're not Minneapolis, St. Paul, and that the Suburban Hennepin County agencies are seeing that increase as well.
New Hope Police Chief Tim HOYT says violent crime has gone up significantly towards the end of the year.
We had a carjacking within our city on our south side, a residential area, and over the last couple of months we've had 2 shootings where a multitude of shots came out, like 30 plus shots at each shooting.
One of those shootings happened October 12th at the Holiday gas station off Bass Lake Road and Nevada Avenue at around 2 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, across the border in Robbinsdale.
So our violence has increased. From 2020, we had 0 homicides, and in 2021, we've had 2 homicides.
This security video from last February shows a shooting in the 3700 block of Quail Avenue North. The person in the white sedan shoots the driver in the black SUV. The gunman quickly leaves the scene, and the victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
I think COVID has been part of it, and I think some of our issues with the Minneapolis and the lack of officers available to respond to calls in Minneapolis is kind of spilled over into our city.
Law enforcement agencies increased patrols and pleaded with the public to report anything suspicious, and peacekeepers were brought in to calm the violent chaos. The groups 21 Days of Peace and Minnesota Acts Now patrolled hotspots in Brooklyn Park, including Huntington Place Apartments and 63rd and Zane. Organizers say the key to prevention is to engage with young people.
We're trying to transform the lives of our young people. We want to give them a different alternative from what they have now.
Both police and civilian groups say it's going to take a joint effort to not repeat the violence in 2022. Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Brooklyn Center police say they've had 5 homicides, including the fatal shooting of Dante Wright at the hands of former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter. There were no homicides the previous year. And now for one of our favorite stories of the year, we go back to the beginning of the school year and a lovely garden that was awaiting students when they got back to school at Evergreen Park Elementary in Brooklyn Center. It was all thanks to a teacher who wanted to create a tiger sanctuary.
Things were dying out, and most of it was just barren.
A peace garden on the edge of the campus of Evergreen Park Elementary used to be neglected and overgrown.
I always liked to make a place look better.
And that bothered teacher Tanya Novak.
I've been here for so many years where we haven't done anything to beautify the school, and I thought it's time. I thought if I can leave any legacy for my kids, it's through the garden.
So she got to work, and like many teachers when it comes to supplies, she opened up her own pocketbook.
I had, the stimulus checks that came, and I thought, I can live without these. This is money I didn't have otherwise.
So Tanya used those checks and a small inheritance she got from an aunt
This is a zinnia. These are annuals.
to buy new flowers.
I thought she would be tickled pink if she knew I put it toward this.
Flowers for the students at Evergreen Park.
Many of our kids live in apartment buildings where they don't have gardens.
And those students also live in an area not far from the Brooklyn Center Police Station, which became ground zero for protests after the death of Daunte Wright.
I want them to know the names of these flowers and how beautiful they can be and what kind of peace they bring to people.
Dotted throughout the garden,
We call the kids tigers.
you'll also find the school mascot.
Something just clicked and I thought, tiger sanctuary. A sanctuary for our kids who are the tigers.
Thinking about our kids who are coming to school this year, we have over half of our school, our kindergarten, first and second grade, have never had a full year in school yet in their school careers. And so looking at that, being able to add this to their experience is just super exciting.
It's been a tough year to revive a garden. The drought means there's even more of an effort that goes into keeping plants growing. Many flowers will be past peak when students first see the tiger sanctuary, but hopefully they'll see that love is what blooms here.
To see the time and effort that Tanya has put in, I mean, she's put so many of her own flowers, she's put her own money into this, and I think that just speaks to one of the many staff here that totally love and care and will do anything for the kids that enter our doors.
And we will end today's newscast with a story about a good neighbor. And we mean that literally. Jerry Moskowitz has collected a massive amount of toys for Tots in his Brooklyn Park home over the last 30+ years. This year, he got a few accolades for his efforts and received the Good Neighbor Award from the Minnesota Association of Realtors. Jerry donated the $1,000 to Toys for Tots just before Christmas.
It's a busy week for many high school basketball and hockey teams playing in holiday tournaments. The Maple Grove boys hockey team is in one of the best, the 11th annual Tradition in the Park tournament. The Crimson faced a tough opponent in the first round of the three-day event. Jason Malillo has the highlights.
The Crimson Pucksters looking to make a statement against the top-ranked Lakeville South Cougars. First period, Daniel Nelson's bad angle shot is off the post and in for a 1-0 Grove lead. Third period, a big hit by MG's Joshua Giuliani forces the turnover and triggers a Crimson rush, and Giuliani finishes what he started, chipping in the rebound, 2-0 Maple Grove. Toby Hopp is perfect in net for Grove, in good position all night, controlling rebounds. He stops all 20 shots that come his way. Sawyer Skansen scores a cool empty netter as his shot off the face-off from neutral ice is in for a 3-0 lead, and Maple Grove knocks off #1 ranked Lakeville South. Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
In girls basketball, Park Center hosted a holiday tournament for the 6th time. Jay Wilcox has more on the Pirates' opening game there.
Park Center on their home court for holiday tournament action in girls basketball as they face defending state class 4A champion Chaska. Gopher signee Mallory Heyer pops the baseline jumper for Chaska as the Hawks jump out to an early 7-0 lead. First-year Park Center head coach Lakita Davis sees her team try to get it going. Inside they go to Vanessa Seydoux for 2 off the glass. She leads the Pirates with 11 points. Heyer has a big first half. This three-pointer is part of a 19-point half for her. Heyer scores 24 total. Shadeja Lynn Chapman's pass is tipped, but it comes back to her, and she scores inside. The Pirates are within 20-8 after the slow start. Kennedy Sanders with a nice drive for 2 of her 23 points for Chaska. They dominate the first half to lead 38-14 at the break. The Pirates come out with good intensity in the second. Naomi Cruchon pops the 16-footer as the Pirates try to battle back. Helen Ben with an aggressive drive scores off the glass plus the foul, but the Pirates are unable to make up much ground on the scoreboard. Sanders drives and kicks to Eliana Lenzen for 3. Chaska rolls to a 67-36 win over Park Center. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
It's a cold week in Minnesota, but not too cold to head out to the lake for this week's CCX ice fishing tip. Here's Terry Tuma.
Right now it's about time that we start to think about getting the Wheelhouse ready to go out on the ice. And some things that we need to do, shall we call it sort of preparation tips, if you will. One is, are your propane tanks full of gas? Something that's often overlooked. Is the battery charged up, or batteries, are they charged up? Does your furnace work? You should always check your furnace before you go out on the ice. Another that's really overlooked a ton is, many of the wheelhouses have pivot points, if you will. Make sure that they're lubricated, that they're greased. Take a grease gun and grease those areas. And I just talked to someone not very long ago, and theirs were froze up, so that's a major expenses. Check your if you have cables or if you have straps that crank and raise and lower your house, and other. Did you put new license tabs on your house? Did you buy the fish house shelter license? That is just some of the things. Of course, obviously, checking the stove, does that work? Your lights, do they work? Tire pressure is another. There's a lot of preparation tips, if you will, that we should really do before we pull that wheelhouse on the ice. You do not want any trouble on the ice, lowering it or raising it or moving it or whatever, trailering it. So just some precautions to help prevent that, and just go fishing.
Thanks, Terry. And that's all for sports. I'm John Jacobson. Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.